Hello, I'm Denitra Hutchinson.
And I am Cris Oviedo.
Welcome to Columbia Matters. This is our first show where Chris and I will be co-hosting together, so I'm so excited.
I'm excited too. It is really great to be here with you today, Denitra.
Glad to have you.
It's great to be here. We have a great show today for our viewers. We will learn about CA's 2016 outdoor pool seasons and nutrition tip from Bonnie Pace.
We will meet up with a special walking group and find out how osteoporosis is evaluated and treated.
Wilde Lake High School graduate Laura Lippman has just written a new book, Wilde Lake. Barbara Kellner caught up with the New York best-selling author for a discussion about the book and her memories of Columbia.
Thank you, Laura, for agreeing to sit down with Columbia Matters and Columbia Association.
Thank you for asking me.
Wilde Lake, this is the first book, first novel, I think, that has ever been written about Columbia.
I don't know of another one.
Particularly Wilde Lake. And when I read it, I was very struck by the very real references to places. So I know it's going to resonate tremendously with anyone who lives here. But I guess I'd like you to talk about that a little bit, about why you would give a fictional book very real places.
Well, I've always done that with Baltimore. I've always centered my Baltimore novels in very real and recognizable places. I always say that I'll make up things where terrible things happen. I'll make up places where terrible things happen, specific homes or a restaurant. But in general, I like the sense of place that's created by using real places.
When you write about fictional places, do you have the same feeling about it? Like, is that place as real for you?
I certainly try to make it as real. It's more challenging, but at the same time it's also more freeing in that no one can say this is right or this is wrong. I mean, I'm the only person who knows what's right when I create a place.
Right, right. So how do you fact check?
Yes, there is a lot of fact checking in my work, but at the same time I don't feel totally bound by facts. You know, there are things that I'm allowed to make up. The home in which the Brandt family lives in Wilde Lake is clearly my creation and came utterly out of my imagination. And some people say to me, well, now there is that house on the east side of Wilde Lake that is an older house. I'm like, I didn't even know that house existed. Or if I did, I didn't remember it. I had a very different house in mind when I wrote about the Brandt family home, which is, you know, actually literally transported to the site. And I was actually referencing an event that I remembered from San Antonio when I was a reporter. So fiction writers are very, very good recyclers.
So you lived in Columbia for a very short period of time. When was that?
1974 through 1977, 3 years.
What brought your parents here?
Me. They wanted to put me in Wilde Lake High School. They thought it would be a good place for the person I was when I was 15. They wanted to try me out in an open space setting.
So talk about the high school a little bit. Talk about your experience at the high school and whether your experience at the high school had any influence on your career.
Well, I think Wilde Lake encouraged my creativity, and as a novelist, that's something I'm really grateful for. You know, it was certainly a place where teachers such as Bonnie Daniel made me feel that there was anything I could do if I put my mind to it in terms of harnessing my creativity.
What are your other recollections of living here in Wilde Lake as far as your friends and the activities that you had?
Well, I was a drama nerd, and that was the group I hung out with. I mean, I was the nerd. I shouldn't say anyone else was a nerd, but I was definitely a nerd. I had terrific teachers, a lot of teachers about whom I had very fond memories. And what I remember about it was there was sort of an aimlessness. Maybe that's just typical of one's teens years. But, you know, there weren't that many places to go. And so we were, you know, as the father in Wilde Lake worries, we rambled quite a bit. We went to the mall and we wandered around and around, and we walked around the lake, and, you know, if people had cars, we drove places, but we didn't really have any particular place to go, as the song would have it. but I think that's just being a teenager, right?
So when you met other people at college, did you recognize that Wilde Lake had been a different kind of high school?
Absolutely. I knew right away. I understand. I think I recognized right away that it was material, if you will, that it made for lots of good stories.
When you came to Columbia, did you know that it had been founded with this very deliberate
Oh, yes.
vision?
I've been visiting Columbia. My father was fascinated with Rouse's projects, and we often did just come out here on Sunday drives.
Thanks, Barbara. CA's 2016 pool season is finally here, and joining us in the studio this month is Kristen Groves, and she's going to let us know what's new this year. Hi, Kristen.
Hi, Denisha. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. So how many pools does CA operate during the summer?
We have 23 outdoor pools.
How about the swim center? Is the swim center reopening anytime soon?
The swim center is closed for summer renovations, redoing all of the splashdown amenities, and then they'll be reopening in the fall.
That's great. I'm very excited for that. Now, I have been, since you guys have been working on the big slides, you guys have had something in there that's been really fun to go and play with. It's the Whibbit.
Yes.
What are you guys doing this summer with the Whibbit?
So Wednesdays at Hawthorne Pool, we're going to put the Whibbits into the water, and the Whibbits is a big, giant, inflatable water course that we put on the water.
Is that for kids? Is it for adults? Who gets to use it?
It's for kids and adults. You do have to be 6 years old to play on it.
Now, one of the things I'm excited about, which really doesn't, it's not really in the water, but it's the outdoor yoga that's at the Stevens Forest. Will that be returning?
Yes, it will on Wednesdays and Friday mornings under the pavilion that we have over there.
And you guys have yoga there at the pools. Are there any other classes like that you guys will be offering throughout the summer at the different pools?
Well, since the swim center is going to be shut down, we actually are taking all of our classes inside over to Hawthorne Pool. So you're going to see deep water fitness at the outdoor pools this year.
So are there any new programs this season that you haven't offered before?
One of our new programs is the Splash and Dash at Clemens Crossing Pool. It's a duathlon event, which you will swim and run, and it's open to both children and adults. So that's a new event that we have. And in addition to the triathlon series that we offer, we also have the kids triathlon at Clemens Crossing Pool, and that happens on July 24th. This year it's actually a Mid-Atlantic regional qualifier for the youth triathlon series.
Wow.
Good time.
Yeah. Now, talking about the old things, how about the swim classes and the swim team? One of my favorite things.
Well, the swim lessons new this year, we've actually extended the length of the individual lessons, so you get a little bit more time, and we've added an extra day of the week, so we'll go 5 days a week in the morning and 3 days a week in the evening, so you get a little bit more lesson in each session that we offer. Swim team is up and running. I'm sure you've seen them at your outdoor pools already.
My kids really, really enjoy it, and I know it's a lot of work for the parents because you have to take the kids there and getting up Saturday morning to take them to the swim meets, but it's so worth it. And you know, the community that just builds around the swim team, it's just so fun, it's just so great, and you get some bonus. You know, you have those little parties on Friday evenings. You also you get to spend one night at the pool in some of the pools. At least I know the team that we have has like this one night where you camp at the pool.
Oh, the overnight.
Yeah, the overnights. It's a lot of fun. It's really a lot of fun.
So Kristen, how can our viewers get more information if they're interested?
Well, our website, columbiapools.org, has everything on there, from pool schedules to admission fees and pool rules, all the way down to your program and special event information. You can contact the aquatics office. Their number is 410-312-6332, or you can email them at aquatics@columbiaassociation.org.
Is there anything else that you would like to add, that you would just like to tell our viewers about the summer season?
We have some pools that have brand new amenities if you haven't checked them out yet. Dorsey Hall has a brand new wading pool, hot tub, bathhouse. You've got Kendall Ridge, which has a new ADA wading pool. River Hill has new wading pool shade structures. Locust Park and Clemens Crossing also have new tile, coping zone, and skimmers at their facilities.
Well, lots of renovations. I can't wait. I have to go around Columbia this summer.
The second Sunday of every month, we also offer free admission for anyone who just holds a CA resident card. So you don't have to be a member to visit our pools sometimes.
I love that CA always does that and comes up with very creative ways of just including everybody.
And is that at all of the outdoor pools?
Yes, it is.
Oh, great. Great. So go to your local pool, check it out, see the new amenities, and have fun.
Thank you, Kirsten, for coming into our studio today.
Thank you for having me.
Here's this month's nutrition tip with Bonnie Pace.
Today we're going to talk about protein and why you want to get more protein into your breakfast. First of all, satiety. Protein helps your body stay full longer, so that as you get towards lunchtime you won't be quite as hungry as if you started your day with carbs. Secondly, protein helps keep your blood sugar stable. If you start your day with cereal, pancakes, things like that, the carbohydrates elevate your blood sugar pretty quickly and then start to trail off, where your protein will help keep that blood sugar very steady. The third reason is that protein has a greater thermogenic effect on your body. And what that means is your body has to work a little harder and burn calories a little more efficiently when you're eating protein than when you're eating carbs. And we all want to learn how to do that. So how do you get protein into your diet? Simple. You can start your day with eggs. It can be a hard-boiled egg, it can be scrambled eggs, it can be whatever way you particularly like eggs. But if you don't have time for eggs in the morning, if you don't have time to make yourself a great omelet with lots of vegetables in it, here's another tip. Make a mini crustless quiche. Here's how to do it. Take your eggs, add a little bit of milk, whatever your favorite vegetables are, whip it all together. You can add cheese, you can add some turkey bacon, and then pour it into a muffin tin and let it bake at about 350 for about 20 minutes, or until when you press down on the top they feel a little bit firm. The great thing about this is you can freeze it, you can put them in a Ziploc bag, you can throw them in a microwave later for about 10 seconds and you've got a great breakfast. It's also great for the kids on the run in the morning. You want to get that protein into your kids as well because it's good for their brain. Let's say you're looking for another way to get protein into your breakfast and oatmeal is your go-to. There's a couple really simple ways to take a pure carbohydrate meal and add some protein to it. Simply, you can add a handful of walnuts or a handful of almonds, or you can try hemp hearts, which are a great source of protein and actually taste pretty good. You can mix them right in. Or chia seeds are also a really good source of protein and also a good source of omega-3, which are those good omegas, the antioxidants that we want to get into our system. And then once you make your protein into your oatmeal, you can always add some blueberries also for another little antioxidant boost. Another way to increase the protein in your oatmeal is by simply adding a scoop of protein powder. Find a good protein powder that doesn't have a lot of sugar in it and just pour it on top and mix it when you make your oatmeal. Another option for protein in the morning is yogurt. I like Greek yogurt because it just gives you a little more bang for the buck. And again, we're going to take your yogurt, add whatever type of fruit you like, and you'll have a great protein option for breakfast. But let's say you're on the way out the door and all you really have time for is a piece of toast or a half an English muffin. There's a way you can still pump up your protein, and it's just by adding a little bit of peanut butter or almond butter to the top. Stick with the ones that have ingredients that are just nuts and salt without the added oils or the added sugars, and you're doing it a little bit better for your health overall. So that's how you can add protein to your breakfast. Start your day the right way with protein.
Thanks, Bonnie. Walking on the paths, enjoying nature is one of my favorite things to do. We met up with the Village and Howard's Sneakers and Coffee walking group at the Lake Kitamaquandi to learn more about why they love walking on the paths so much.
The Village is a virtual village. It's not like the villages that we have in Colombia. It's a group of people that is growing. There's a national movement of villages, and that's why we call it the Village in Howard, is because there are hundreds of other villages beginning with senior people around the United States and in a few other places in the world. And what it does is it first serves, or maybe not most importantly, but first serves as a social gathering so that we can still participate in the world, the county, everything the same way we did before. Now that most of us are retired, we even have more time for that. But it also includes a whole lot of activities that we like doing together. So the social activities go anywhere from open activities like this, what we call sneakers and coffee, where anybody can walk. It doesn't require membership. And we walk together or kind of in bunches. And at the end, we go and have coffee. In the summertime, we walk around Lake Kittamakundi and go to Whole Foods. In the wintertime, we walk around the mall and go to Panera, and we sit around and talk, and it can go on for an hour and a half, 2 hours after we've walked. So you get a good chance to make deep friendships, find out people who had exciting things in their lives that you didn't know about, and when it comes time that maybe you need some help, it's really people taking care of themselves and enjoying life and growing at a time when we have great opportunities. They're bonus years. And other activities, we talk about travel. Someone will present travels they took and problems they ran into, and everybody gets to talk about their what they were able to do. And then we go on trips. We've gone to New York, Philadelphia. We've gone to a few to DC, obviously, because there's a lot there and because it's close. And we learn along the way that you can go by public transportation instead of being totally dependent on cars, although most of us are still drivers and still of that generation that we do nothing without our cars. But we are growing with the population. I think that's the important part. So the second part of the program that we have is helping each other. And so we have two kinds of memberships, associate memberships, and associate members only do the social parts and volunteer for the other part, and full members get help as they need it. So one of our members and friends needed a hip replacement. She's single, widowed, and she really needed some support. So friends took her to the hospital, stayed with her, people came and visited. The house was kind of busy all the time, and it's a short-term thing. A hip replacement's not long-term, but she had a warm feeling that she wasn't isolated and totally out of the community for that time. And so those things that can be neighbor to neighbor are the things we're trying to add as services. We're moving a little into giving a more full set of services for people who have health needs, a circle of care that I think is going to be quite a good concept. And it's a new organization. I know it's a year old, but it's growing, we're learning, we're trying to find out what everybody needs and what everybody wants. And as we're mostly associate members, most of it's social, and the calendar is just loaded with things you may or may not want to do, and no obligation to do them. And I think that's what gives it its wonderful feel as a self-propelling group that helps us all be a lot better at living the life that we've gained, our bonus years, after we've aged a little bit. If you are interested in joining the village in Howard, age 55 plus is the first requirement, and you can go online to our website, which is thevillageinhoward.org. Otherwise, you can call on the phone. The number is listed below, or you can come to our offices, which are located and part of the building of Winter Growth, which is near the Florence Bain Center or the Athletic Center in Harper's Choice. Getting in is probably the easiest way is to come to one of the open events, like lunches we have on Wednesday, or on Saturday we meet at the People Tree every Saturday morning at 9 o'clock. We walk around the lake and we talk for hours afterwards at Whole Foods, and you can skip the walk and go to the coffee, lots of people do, or you can just join us anytime. In fact, I'm getting behind now. The group has already run away from me and I'd like to catch up with them, so I'll talk to you later.
Osteoporosis causes bones to become weak. Dr. Oken has more on the evaluation and treatment of osteoporosis.
Hi, I'm Dr. Harry Oken for Columbia Matters. This month we're going to be talking about bone health, in particular osteoporosis. As we age, all of us lose bone density. It begins around the age of 35 and then starts to accelerate, particularly for women after about menopause, which typically is somewhere between 45 and 55. As women go into menopause, they lose estrogen, and estrogen really helps women particularly keep up their bone mass. So osteoporosis and osteopenia are stages of bone loss which actually promote fragility of the bones. And so women and men who have osteopenia and osteoporosis are at much greater risk for fracture. The most common areas of fracture for patients who have osteopenia and osteoporosis are the hip, the wrist, and the backbone. In particular, the backbone actually can occur when one gets a compression fracture, where the bone actually compresses on itself, almost like a crushed can. These are particularly painful. When an adult has a fracture of either the wrist, the spine, or the hip, that constitutes a significant risk for another fracture, and those patients are thought to have osteoporosis. Now, there are other risks for osteoporosis. They include Caucasian and Asian race, heavy smoking, excessive alcohol use, use of certain medications like steroids and anti-seizure medication. All of these things promote increased risk for osteoporosis. And if you're osteoporotic, your fracture risk is much higher. To gauge this, we can do certain tests. One of the tests that's promoted, particularly for women after the age of 65, unless they have risks, is what's called a DEXA scan. A DEXA scan is an X-ray study to evaluate the density of the bone in key areas, particularly the spine, the lower spine, the lumbar spine, the hip, and the wrist. The DEXA scan is a non-invasive test where we take X-ray pictures using very low levels of X-ray to then calculate the density of the bone and compare that density to what is expected at age-matched controls. When the DEXA scan actually shows a T-score greater than -2, we term that osteoporosis. Less than -2, a T-score, is thought to be osteopenia. When this is diagnosed, we definitely want to take some extra special steps at keeping this from getting worse. The most important aspect to the treatment of osteoporosis is addressing lifestyle. Exercise can be very important for any exercise that is weight-bearing. So therefore, if you were a heavy cyclist or a heavy swimmer, that wouldn't necessarily help you. But if you like to work out with weights, walk, jog, these would all be important exercises which would put stress against the bone and then cause the bone to remodel and get stronger. That in the presence of a good diet, which includes plenty of fresh fruits and vegetables, which are high in calcium, a little bit of dairy, nuts, some cheese, whole grains are all helpful in giving us the calcium you need. Now, what about calcium supplements? Should you take them? There are some people that absolutely need to take them to get adequate supplementation. However, most people can get the calcium that they need from their diet, and that's advisable. In fact, there was recently a study, in fact 2 studies, which showed that women who took calcium supplements may have a greater risk for cardiovascular disease. That may be because the calcium that they're taking is staying in their blood and not getting into their bones. This brings us to another important piece to the treatment of osteoporosis, which means we want to have adequate vitamin D, particularly vitamin D3, in our system so we can absorb calcium properly. There's a large group of people who are actually vitamin D deficient, and if that's detected, you should be supplemented. In fact, most adults benefit from at least 1,000 to 2,000 units of vitamin D per day, and it should be vitamin D3, the active compound. Well, we still have the work of moving the calcium into the bones, and for that we've actually recently recognized that there's another vitamin called vitamin K2, which promotes the movement of calcium along with vitamin D into the bones. And for that reason, you should talk to your doctor about a possible supplement of K2. I typically recommend for all my postmenopausal women that I'm concerned about either low bone density, osteopenia or have osteoporosis, a significant low bone density, to take vitamin K2 on the order of 45 micrograms to 100 micrograms a day. Sometimes you may need medication. This is the decision that you'll make between yourself and your doctor depending on the severity of your problem and the need to prevent a future fracture. Keep your bones healthy and make them healthy by good exercise, good nutrition, consider supplements, and speak to your doctor about being periodically evaluated for osteopenia and osteoporosis. This is Health with Dr. Harry Oken.
Thanks, Dr. Oken. And now, here's this month's wellness tip.
There's nothing like being outside in your beautiful natural surroundings, feeling the fresh air, feeling the lake and the wonderful sunshine on your face. There's nothing more invigorating and a big surplus of vitamin D that we all need to get through the day. Even if it's just for 20 minutes, the fresh air can do a lot of great therapeutic benefits for the body. So a lot of us work indoors pretty much 8 to 10 to 12 to 14-hour days. We're in front of our computers, we have these fluorescent lights. What we really need is some fresh air. So even if you just get up for a few minutes and take a really nice walk, just being in the fresh outdoor surroundings, fresh air, the sounds of the birds, it is a great all-over sense of being. The vitamin D that you get from the sun is also really important and is a necessity for our wellness. So for those of us that remember back in the days when we had recess, the benefits of recess, we had no idea how beneficial they were. We had that 30-minute break where we went outside and we played, we felt refreshed, rejuvenated, reset. Same thing now when it comes to work. Have a meeting outside, plan a walking meeting, get around the lakes that we have here, enjoy it. That's one of the best parts of being able to go outside and feel refreshed. Here, we will feel it every day. So get out of the office for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, even if it's for a minute, and enjoy the fresh air, the sun, the trees, the birds. Join us here at Haven on the Lake on our outdoor patio overseeing the lake here. It is a beautiful, special, sacred place where you will feel completely at peace, yet you'll be rejuvenated and refreshed. We offer one complimentary yoga class every month during the summertime. That's complimentary to our community for yoga. It is a really beautiful activity. It's something to engage in and feel part of the community. Enjoy it. And if you're not a yogi, come outside and enjoy our patio. Take time for you. Enjoy yourself. Get outside today. Take advantage of your day, even if it's for a few minutes. Enjoy it like we do.
We have come to the end of our program. To learn more about Columbia Association, check out our new website at columbiaassociation.org.
To learn more about CA-sponsored events, visit columbiaassociation.org/events.
Check out this month's CA Monthly at camonthly.org.
We want to hear from you. What do you love about CA? Visit columbiaassociation.org, yay CA, and tell us what makes you say, yay CA. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next month.